But before we get there, let's take you to this leading story. President Cyril Ramaphosa and his Zimbabwean counterpart have been at the Musina border for the official launch of the country's third law enforcement authority. The Border Management Authority will be responsible for coordinating and securing all border operations. Ziniko Mhlaba is following the story and joins us live. Ziniko, an incredible mission and a task that needs to really be done here. We saw President Cyril Ramaphosa and his Zimbabwean counterpart a little earlier on. Talk to us about what's happening there at the moment.
Well, I can tell you right now that we do have now the official law enforcement agency which is armed here in South Africa, and I'm talking about the Border Management Authority, which has just been officially launched by the country's President Cyril Ramaphosa. So it's going to be a very, very important stakeholder in the fight against cross-border crime in South Africa and between Zimbabwe and other neighboring countries such as Lesotho, Mozambique, which are the hotspots when it comes to cross-border crime. But President Ramaphosa also spoke about the importance of having an integrated system that is going to talk to each other in terms of operations. A key stakeholder in that integrated system is the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. And I'm joined right now by the minister who's heading that portfolio, Minister Toko Judiza, who's going to speak to us about how difficult it has been to put this project together. But now, Minister, we're dealing with so many things, the avian flu and many other diseases that are taking place in South Africa. Your department, where does it fit in now, considering that some of the challenges that the country is faced with right now under this new Border Management Authority?
Thank you very much to you and your viewership as well as listeners at home. One of the roles that the Department of Agriculture has is to ensure quality food for South Africans, is to ensure food security for our nation. And doing so, it's also about protecting what comes and what goes into the country in terms of safety, that it would not actually bring in pests and other diseases that we do not have in our country. That is why we have people at the ports of entry, be at the airports, be at the land borders such as Bay Bridge where we were today.
So the President also spoke about the importance now of having an integrated system where separation of powers is no longer going to be an issue. So as ministers who are heading that project, who must align, must make sure that there's that alignment at that level. How important is that, and how are you going to put in and allow the Border Management Authority to exercise its powers as assigned by the President today?
As Minister Mtsoaledi has indicated in his speech, this event today is really a culmination of the work that has been going on, first by the legislatures who had to put the law into place, which was then signed by the President. Secondly, the different departments led by their ministers have to work together to harmonize and ensure that we transfer our staff to the Border Management Authority. Minister Mtsoaledi indicated also that the policies that guides the work of those officials and their mandates still lies with the ministries. So in respect of issues of phytosanitary and sanitary as it relates to the borders, that would still be the policy that comes from our department. But their functionality, working in the ports of entry, it's under the Border Management Authority. That is why we've got the technical committee led by the Directors General, which have to meet to make sure that that alignment is done. In terms of the law, the Interministerial Committee must meet 4 times a year to make sure that we align, but we also oversee the work of the Border Management Authority.
Lastly, Minister, there was the head of state from Zimbabwe. From your perspective and from your work under your department, how is the relationship between the two states in terms of U.S. departments, and how important is that engagement now that there's one entity that is going to oversee all the programs so far?
Well, it was very important, the presence of the President and ministers from Zimbabwe, because one of the work that the Ministry of Home Affairs is doing to improve the ease of movement of goods and people in our ports of entry, such as the land border here in Bay Bridge, it's also about ensuring that we improve the infrastructure of our ports of entry. So today, as we are launching this Border Management Authority, we were also actually marking the start of the work that must be done in improving our infrastructure at Beit Bridge. We also went to see the Zimbabwean side, which has been completed by the Zimbabwean government, which really is modernized in terms of their port of entry on the side. So now South Africa is actually commencing with that work. You saw a number of trucks that were there. And this is one of the things that we're trying to ease, particularly the trade between the two countries, such that they don't spend a lot of time at the border post, as well as our people, that there's flexibility of movement at the border post. And we hope that through our collaboration, this border post will work as a one-stop shop between Zimbabwe and South Africa.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you very much.
That's Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform here in South Africa, Minister Thoko Dudiza, speaking to us about the importance of this new entity which has been officially launched by the country's head of state, the Commander-in-Chief of all armed forces in South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, also signaling the fact that that sword was giving the Commissioner of the Border Management Authority all the powers to fulfill its responsibility. So that's the latest from us, and for now, back to you in studio.
Very well, Ziniko Mhlaba. We leave it there. Of course, we will continue to keep track of what's happening there throughout the course of the afternoon.